Hello everyone and welcome to Hometown Talents and Treasures. Our goal is to introduce you to people or organizations that empower, educate, inform others in the community, and certainly our guests today do all of those things. I'm so pleased to be joined with Gary Thomas Keating, and I say that way because he is an actor, and also with Bread and Roses does a lot of volunteering with them, with the Robert Frost Foundation. I'm going to leave some of these out so you can talk about it, Gary. And I'm also so pleased to be joined with the Sicilian Corner, the one and only Mike Lomazzo, who also does a lot with the Feast of the Three Saints, the St. Alfeo Society. He has been a chairman. He works with bringing in entertainment and also with corporate fundraising. Gentlemen, happy Sunday and thank you for being on.
Happy Sunday.
Hello, happy Sunday.
So much to talk about. Mike, let's start with you. The Feast of the Three Saints, St. Alfeo Society, been around in Lawrence for a long time. What is their purpose? And talk about some of the events that are coming up.
Well, what happened in Italy during a very severe time, especially in Sicily, during a famine, and unemployment was very, 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 very high. A lot of people wanted a better life for themselves and their children. And because of the mills that were readily available and the amount of jobs that were available in our community here in Lawrence, because of the wonderful, powerful Merrimack River, they migrated to this area, and they went to work in the mills. And at that time, some of the people that came to this country, like our grandfathers, wanted something to remind them of the old country, things that they celebrated back in Italy. And one of those was in the Catania area of Sicily and Trecastani. They have a big celebration of three martyred brothers. They couldn't do it on May 10th because they didn't want to lose a day out of work. So at that time, Labor Day was a national holiday, so they decided to celebrate, instead of May 10th, Labor Day. And that's the way it's been. And this year, on August 30th, 31st, and September 1st, we're celebrating the 90th. It was. Wow. Back in the early 1950s, 1920s, so many people working in the mills, there was no social programs to help them in any way. So if an Italian got hurt in the mill, they would borrow money from the St. Alfeo Society, or an arm of the St. Alfeo Society is Mutual Soccorso, which means mutual aid. And these members were able to take a $5 or whatever they needed to get by, then they would pay it back. And to this day, that's why we do so much, and we give so much money back to the community.
Gary, you are very involved with Bread and Roses.
Before we go on, may I say something?
Yes.
Convira fede, viva St. Alfeo.
Very good.
The Italians in Lawrence have been such a significant part of the last 125 years of the city's history. It took a very long time for them to elect their first public officials citywide, but I live in the oldest part of the city in the North Common, and so the Feast of St. Alfeo is part of my life every year. I look forward to it, and emotionally and spiritually. One of the phrases Mike didn't use that I'd like to is, Lawrence being an ethnic city, each wave of immigrants started what was called mutual aid societies. That's what he was describing. When there was no other hand to reach out and help them, and that includes their own churches, they banded together and said, we'll help each other. So it's rather a unique thing that the Sicilians did. This put a little money in to the pot, so when things are bad, you could withdraw from that fund. It's pretty good. Now about Bread and Roses Soup Kitchen and Bread and Roses Festival Committee, it's all named after the Great Strike of 1912, which wasn't at the time called the Bread and Roses Festival. The name was added on later from a poem and a song. But it was a significant event in the labor history, not only of Lawrence, but of the entire country.
That's right.
And if, as a matter of fact, if it wasn't for the Italian population, the strike would not have gone so well. There were many other ethnic groups that participated in it, but it was the Italians, as the newest immigrants working in the mills, who looked at their pay envelopes and said, whoa, wait a minute, short pay, strike. That's what it came down to. And the same idea of the ethnic groups, mutual aid society, that's what happened with the strikers. Some New Yorkers came in, there were strike organizers, and they were damn good at it, and they helped organize the situation. But the strikers supported each other, including running soup kitchens. And my own, two of my grand-aunts, my English grand-aunts, worked out of a soup kitchen around the corner from where my family lived off of Water Street.
Really?
And they worked in a soup kitchen at the Franco-Belgium Club, which is on, oh, I'm going to forget the name of the street. It's between Water Street and Hancock Street. So that's how the idea of the Bread and Roses Soup Kitchen came to be. But there's over 20 groups out in the community that provide food for Bread and Roses Soup Kitchen. Absolutely everything that is used to feed people comes from the general public. There is no money that comes from any governmental agency, nothing from local government, state, or federal government.
And that keeps them very independent.
Very independent. By the way, also, Bread and Roses Soup Kitchen owns its own building, and it chooses to pay real estate taxes.
Wow.
One of the few in the nonprofits in the city that does that.
How have you seen Lawrence change in the past, say, 10, 15 years in terms of immigrants and economically?
You want to take that?
Mike's looking like, you're the talker, go ahead. No, we're both talkers. Well, the way I've seen it change is everything is the same as other immigrants that came to a certain degree. What has happened in Lawrence now is what happened across Lawrence is a little over 150 years old, from 1845. And the first immigrants that came to the original neighborhood of Lawrence, the North Common section, were Irish and English. And then when they did better economically, they moved to other parts of the city. And the next groups that came in were the Germans, and then the French, and then the Italians. Now there's many other smaller groups that came from other countries, Russia, Lithuania, Poland. But what's happened is Lawrence is doing the same thing that it always did. And I'm not just putting a spin on it. Lawrence, as Eartha Dengler, founder of the Immigrant City Archives Lawrence History Center, said, Lawrence is the first rung on the ladder of success as an American. They come here, the new immigrants, to find a better life. They don't come here. The overwhelming majority of people that say they come here for welfare are misinformed. I'm being kind. They're bigots who are misinformed. They come here to make a better life.
And the same thing that's happening here in the city of Lawrence, or has happened in the city of Lawrence, took place, and everybody knows of Boston's North End. And if you look at how the North End was set up, first you had the Jewish folks moved in and they controlled it. And then you had the Irish, they controlled it. The Irish left, the Italians moved in. And now the Italians basically are being pushed out. I mean, if you look at the actual population of Italians in the North End right now, it's probably about 40% compared to 98% not too far down the road. I just wanted to say that it's been 50 years since I graduated from Lawrence High. We're having our anniversary October 4th, our 50th graduating class. And with that being said, have things changed? Absolutely. And every time, like a decade goes by, I always think, and I have a great deal of love for the city. I do. I honestly, it's not corny. This is coming from my heart. And this is one of the reasons why I put so much into coming back and helping out with the feast, because I think it's helping out the city. And to see whether you're Spanish or Italian or German, seeing these little kids touch the saint, I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But I thought that we had turned the corner and you were starting to get more and more businesses and things were starting to go in the right direction. Truthfully, I think in the last 10 years we've taken a couple of steps backwards for whatever reason, and it bothers me a little bit.
But so has the rest of the country.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But the city of Lawrence has so much to offer. You look at the Merrimack River. the third fastest river in the United States. The possibilities with that river is endless. You see some of these apartments being built along the riverside. You look at the North Canal and the South Canal. Now, I just had breakfast not too long ago on Broadway at the Three Dogs Diner. This couple came here. They never grew up in Lawrence, yet they came and they bought a business, and they're trying to make a go of it. And they've cleaned it up. It's immaculate. And you know, I support stuff like that. I really do. I really, really do. And there are a lot of positives. Sal Lepoli's complex is doing unbelievable. You see the Wood Mill now, they're starting to sell apartments again. You see the old...
Well, Gary, tell me why you disagree.
I have to disagree.
No, that's
with you.
fine.
I live there still.
Yeah.
So I watch what's going
know.
on. I watch what's going on. The big difference is the Latin community leaves the city for the professional class of Latins. They go elsewhere, or they're working during the day. They're not collecting welfare. Yes, there's a percentage that's collecting welfare. They leave the city during the day. But the big difference that we didn't see in the 60s is the nightlife. Come back to Lawrence starting on a Thursday night at 10 o'clock at night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, and the nightclubs are like going crazy.
So you consider that a good thing? I don't.
Well, the simple matter of the fact is the business of America is business, and we may not be pleased with entertainment is what's making money. Alcohol is making money.
In restaurants.
And restaurants, but it's still driving the economics of the city. It still is. The business, those bars and restaurants are paying meals taxes to the state. They're paying taxes for property.
It's causing a lot of problems.
A lot of crime.
However, we have a wonderful police chief and and he's worked very hard with the State Alcoholic Beverage Commission, and now we have a reformed licensing board for the city, and they're all working I agree with you, there were some big problems there. However,
people are afraid to come to the city.
They're getting solved. Those problems are getting solved. Well, yes.
Well, let me just say, as someone who lives in Andover, people, you know, I say I'm going to Lawrence, people say be careful. I mean, and I want to know, this is a topic that I wanted to discuss with you guys. Do you think that it is right for Lawrence to receive such a bad rap? Because there are good stories. There are people doing good things. There are restaurants coming. There are the Sal's that are open Enterprise Bank and so forth. So is it, go ahead, Mike, is it justified?
I think to a certain degree it is. I think the stigma right now that's attached to the city, because every time you read or you listen to the radio, listen to CCM, or you pick up the paper, who's getting shot at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning,
and many times
on a personal
nightclub,
yes, right. And on a personal note, we have done some shows at the beautiful Lawrence High School campus in their auditorium. And believe me when I tell you, to me, I think that the city could gain a lot more money if they rented that building out more. The problem is, and we've done some great shows there. We brought the 1964 tribute band in there. We've had Michael Lomazzo, a great Italian tenor. We've had some fantastic shows. We sold the tickets ourselves. These were fundraisers for our society. What I heard from a lot of my friends that live in the Salems, the Derrys, the Wyndhams, you're having it where? I'm having it in Lawrence. I'm having it at the high school. We have plenty of security. I'm not bringing my car to Lawrence. I'm telling you that right now. Because this is what they read in the papers all the time about the problems. And how do you overcome that? That campus at the high school is absolutely amazing.
Right, and so how do you overcome that? What did
let me once again
the police department is the most important, and
I want to know.
Wait a minute, that's not just they are very important, but don't.
You know, as each decade went by, I thought more and more would go to school, more and more would educate themselves, and I thought that they would get away from the social programs that we're involved with, and social programs, whether you want to admit it or not admit it. It plays an important role here in the city, not only in the city of Lawrence, but also in the city of Chelsea and also in the city of Springfield. That being said, Can it be solved? Yeah, it can. But I disagree with you 100%, because in a 6.5 square mile area, to have as many liquor licenses as we have, I think it's a sin.
Oh, it's
because you're looking at nothing but problems. I know you say it generates money. I agree. But, you know, when you have buses coming from Boston that want to come to the wild, wild west of Lawrence because they can get away with almost anything, I think you're sending the wrong message. And that message has got to stop.
Lawrence, we're like the Statue of Liberty, Mike. Give us you're poor, you're tired, you're hungry, yearning to be free. And nothing has changed since Lawrence first accepted immigrants to the city, which are the English and the Irish. The English were brought here to be bosses, to build the machinery of the mills. The mechanics blocks on Orchard and Garden Street were built. They're English townhouses. There were plans from Manchester, England. So as far as what's going on now, for the last 30 years, 40 years, when the first Puerto Ricans came to Lawrence to work, they didn't come for welfare. We didn't have a state and federal welfare system yet. They came here because Aaron Furstein's people recruited them from Puerto Rico. They're citizens. They didn't have to have visas, etc. Aaron Furstein couldn't get my generation, I'm 63, he couldn't get us to go work in his textile factory. So those were the first Puerto Ricans to come.
Gary, and I want to turn this around a little bit. To talk about the positives of the city, we talked about the feast, we talked about Bread and Roses and all the great organizations happening, and some of the businesses that are coming.
Which are all positives.
Which are all positives.
The one thing, because of us working with the new high school, we had a chance to work with some of the kids. And I'll tell you, it was a great experience for me. For each show that we've done there, we'd hired 3 or 4 students to help us load in equipment, load out, put up sound and all that, and we would pay them. And I'll tell you, they were the hardest working and the nicest kids. And then, you know, you have to have a meal after sound check, so we would invite them to have sound check with us. And they couldn't do enough for you. So, you know, you see, and dealing with the school department, I learned that there's a lot of people in the city that really care.
Yeah.
That really care.
And want to see things change.
There's more out there that care than don't care. But the only ones that are going to get any press are the bad apples. And that's what happens when you pick up the Tribune or you listen to CCM.
Now, there's 2 men sitting here who graduated 4 years apart from Lawrence High School. Lawrence pride from side to side. And once Lawrence High School pride is in you, unless you die, it's with you till you die. The blue and white of Lawrence High School, how dear to the heart are these halls of thine. The memories of eager friendships made, all the happy hours to share.
Gary.
The kids, the teachers in the Lawrence School Department, at Lawrence, in the grammar schools and middle schools and at Lawrence High School, across the board are dedicated educators.
What do
yes.
you think? What do you think it is about
About what?
About Lawrence that makes people care so much?
There was a thing. I'm almost 69 years old, so I'm a little bit older than you.
Dear, you're much older than I.
I knew that was going to come. But we both graduated from the Jawbury Grammar School.
Yep.
And
oh no, I didn't graduate. Sorry, I only went to the 6th grade. I graduated from Weatherby, but still, go ahead.
All right, but like for instance, 1961, we had a very good football team. The pride that was shown in this city. I mean, people would walk by the thousand. I'm talking people from North Lawrence. If you looked at the 3 bridges going across to South Lawrence to go to the stadium, all you would see was people walking and having fun and carrying Lawrence High banners.
By the way, Gary, Mike was a Boston Globe All-Star.
Yes.
All Scholastic.
All Scholastic.
Yeah.
I knew that. He sent me his press releases years ago.
I did not. I did not.
His wife did, I guess. Must have been his wife.
But all I'm saying is back then, you were proud. If you went to Salisbury Beach, right, you were trying to meet a young lady, and you had your Lawrence High sweater on.
It was cool.
You were in. I mean, you know, and you were proud of it. Now it's not so much that way, but I really hope, I really do. I think the city has offered some great opportunities to an awful lot of people, And nothing would give me more satisfaction to see it completely turn around.
Give us your thoughts about Lawrence, past, present, future. I should mention also that next week we have Mayor Fiorentini coming in, talking about the revitalization going on.
Doing a terrific job.
Gary, let me start with you and then finish up with Mike. Final thoughts.
I'll say this. As a fifth-generation Laurentian, I still live here in Lawrence, and I love my city as much as so many other people do. My passion is filled with the fact that the promise of Lawrence is so large, it's unbelievable.
The potential.
The reason that the entrepreneurs built this city, all the potential is still there.
I agree with you 100%. You know, starting off as a planned community, the first planned community, industrial community, Lawrence has a great deal to offer, and it's going to continue to offer. And I'll tell you what's encouraging. Looking at the high school kids, the amount of kids that are graduating, that is a key to what's going on.
It's our future.
For the future, absolutely. And again, working with them at the new high school and doing a couple of projects there, it completely turned me around. Because there is hope. There is a great future here in this city. And because of its location, which bodes well for us, you know, being so close to Boston, I think that maybe not in my lifetime, but you know, I think that there's going to be this place is going to be a destination at one point. But the liquor licenses have got to be cut back, and we got to encourage restaurants. We got to encourage department stores, other than just slop places. You know what I'm saying? $2 or $1. You have to bring in quality, and be able to draw people here.
Sicilian Corner every weekday.
The Sicilian Corner's on every Friday. We're on from 10 to noon.
10 to noon.
And we have a lot of fun. We're not like we're not all political, you know.
Well,
as a matter of fact, we have never had a politician on our show.
Well,
by design.
Thanks for the invite.
And how about credit for our video person?
And that's right, Mark Thibault with ReCommunityConnection.com. And we'll see you next week for another edition of Hometown Talents and Treasures.